Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome again to the Muskoka Housing Funding Forum. This is the second of our funding forums. Before I begin, or before I get proceedings underway, I'd just like to run through a couple of housekeeping items. The first thing to note is that we are recording this session, and we're doing that so that the session can be available on our website, and we'll give the details of the website address through the chat as the proceedings go on today. We are keeping everyone's microphones and videos off, so that allows the presenter to be the only person who is on screen at any one time. Now, you will have the ability, however, to send a chat message to me as moderator. Please direct all your questions that you might have of presenters during their presentations to me as the moderator, and then I will relay that question once we begin the question and answer period after each presenter has finished presenting. And lastly, but certainly not least, if you did happen to miss the first forum, that forum is available on our website, and I'm going to get one of my co-hosts today to provide that website address in the chat. So if you would like to revisit any of the details of that first forum, then you can do so through our website. So thanks for your patience today, and we may encounter weather problems. If just outside my window right now, the clouds are quite dark, and so we may lose power at some time. We do have a generator here at the District of Muskoka, so we shouldn't be interrupted. But if we are, can I just ask people to wait a moment and then to re-enter the Zoom, and we'll proceed once we can do so. Now, it's my great pleasure to welcome Mayor Kelly, Chair of the Muskoka Housing Task Force, Mayor of Muskoka Lakes, and Member of District of Muskoka District Council. I welcome him to the forum and ask him to deliver some opening remarks and the land acknowledgement statement. Welcome to the forum, Mayor Kelly.
Thank you very much, Wade. I appreciate being here, and thank everyone who is online with us today for joining us in this mission. As Wade said, this is really round two of the District Municipality of Muskoka's Housing Funding Forum. And I really, based on the first round, if you haven't seen it, it's certainly worth pulling up and having a watch. And I expect no less of this venture today as well. So I'm just going to keep my introduction short, and I'm going to ask that you first join me in the spirit of reconciliation in acknowledging the enduring relationship between Indigenous peoples and the territories that they have traditionally occupied. We recognize and deeply appreciate the historic connection that they have to this place, both the land and the water. We are grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank all of the generations of Indigenous peoples who have taken care of this place and continue to care for it, and we want to show our respect. Hundreds of years after the first treaties were signed, they remain relevant today. May they guide our decisions and our actions. We commit to learn, to educate, to honor sacred places, and to take actions towards real truth and reconciliation. Thank you. Now, I want to just set this up a little bit. First of all, my welcome is certainly not just in the name of Peter Kelly, but it's on behalf of the District Council for the District Municipality of Muskoka and all of our staff. District Council has identified the promotion of housing and housing affordability and housing stability as a key strategic priority. And really, there's two very interconnected rationales for that. Number one, it's obvious that the creation of attainable and affordable housing is crucial for this region's, and frankly, for most regions, low-income households. We need to find the energy, the intelligence, and frankly, the willpower to put things in place to help this situation along. It's not going to solve itself. But it's also crucial in the case of Muskoka, and again, probably elsewhere, to the economic and community development in this region. It's important that we're able to attract people to build families, to give them the opportunities to live in a community that's welcoming and supportive. It gives them a sense of security. It's important that we do that because that's the nature of being a community builder, but it's also the nature of being an economic development officer. If we're going to find new economic opportunities, we're going to have an opportunity to grow a community, to provide the labor they need to run their businesses and grow our communities. As Wade mentioned, I am the chair of the district's housing task force. Our focus will be on, and it's, by the way, Task Force 2.0, our focus will be on the implementation of ideas that have been brought forward in the past through Task Force 1.0. And our goal, frankly, is to foster collaboration and rely on the work that has been done, the research and the papers that have been developed by 1.0, to make sure that we increase affordable housing opportunities in this region. As I said earlier, I'm astounded that I understand we have over 100 participants. I want to make sure you understand how welcome you are. Everyone who can participate and understand is going to be helpful to this process for those of us who will be guiding it. We also have a series of guest presenters this afternoon. Their focus is going to be on providing information about funding incentives in this region, in the region of Muskoka, which are designed to drive the creation of attainable and affordable housing. Again, I want to thank you for attending the forum today, for your interest in attainable and affordable housing in Muskoka. And without any further ado, I'd like to turn it back to Wade Matthews, our moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Kelly. Just one other quick housekeeping item, just to remind you, if you do have any technical issues during the forum today, don't hesitate to reach me or my co-host through the chat. And just once again, you can ask questions of the presenters through the chat function, and I will read those questions out once the presenters have finished their presentations. So now it's my great pleasure to invite our first guest speakers today from Enbridge Energy. I'm asking Alex Colvin and Michael Fafaro. We are going to wait for Alex and Michael to finish their presentations before we begin the question and answer session. But I'd like to welcome Alex now to the forum and Michael to the forum. Thank you very much, Alex and Michael.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you everyone for making the time to be here. Delighted to be able to talk about affordable housing and to talk about Enbridge's programs for affordable housing. We'll be talking about what we offer for both retrofits of existing stock and affordable housing new construction. I'll be handling the new construction side for the most part, and Michael will be handling retrofits in one of our new construction programs. But today we're here to talk about all of them. So without further ado, we'll start with just a little bit about Enbridge. We have lots of customers throughout Ontario and provide heating and energy services to homes and businesses across the province. Been in business in one form or another for 175 years, and we have a range of energy conservation programs. This extends beyond affordable housing. We have commercial, industrial, institutional projects as well. If you know of a building in Ontario that you would like to see more energy efficient, let us know. We'd be happy to handle it ourselves or refer it out to another specialist. But today we're specifically going to focus on the Savings by Design program for my section of the presentation. And Savings by Design is an energy conservation program for new affordable housing. So projects that are currently sort of in the works, things that you'd like to see built in 2024, 2025, we have an incentive program to help provide energy efficiency and financial incentives to new stock. So the bulk of the program is a energy design workshop. We will get a team of experts as well as the project team for the building, and we will work together to find a pathway to energy savings. We'll do this with live energy modeling, and we will work to find a feasible and the most effective pathway possible to lower your energy consumption by 20% or more. So that is the bulk of the workshop. It's not prescriptive. You do not have to do what it says, but you will get a report showing what we've learned, the measures we've recommended, and some strategies. And we offer a $7,500 incentive for attending the workshop. Bringing your design team, your architect, your energy modeler, that shouldn't come out of the pocket of a municipality or nonprofit, so we're happy to cover the costs. And then we offer financial incentives of up to $120,000 for building energy efficient affordable housing. So it's a sort of 1, 2, 3-step program that will unfold across the construction of the project after the workshop. And we can talk a little bit more about the benefits. There's the benefits of the incentives, of course, but if you are conserving energy, that lowers your operating costs and energy consumption because you're not having to buy the energy you would otherwise use for a less efficient building, while reducing greenhouse gas emissions, which is sort of an essential part of the struggles and what we need to accomplish in the next sort of 10, 15 years, while also making more comfortable buildings for residents and helping to meet funding targets for other financial advice you can stack on top of this. If you're looking for CMHC or Green Municipal Fund funding, this program is compatible with most other funding streams, and we encourage additional funding. If you'd like to know more about the funding streams that are compatible with this program, let me know. I'm happy to provide a list. And when we talk about affordable housing and funding streams and the funding available, we should talk about sort of what we consider affordable housing and what projects are eligible. We cast a very wide range for affordable housing, so it covers not just shelters, not just social and municipal housing, but shelters, transitional housing, co-ops. We recognize what a diverse area affordable housing is, and it requires reaching out to a lot of like underserved markets and to people who quite simply just need shelter in an affordable space, whether that be communal or co-op. The main thing is receiving financial, you can have to demonstrate history of financial assistance, having received CMHC or Green Municipal Funding or applying for it with your current project. The exception is the Rapid Housing Initiative. The Savings by Design progress takes 3 months or so to go from the initial visioning session to the final report. If you're getting Rapid Housing Initiative funding, Michael will tell you about the project we have for that, but anything else, I'm more than happy to see if it can go through our program. We also extend this to market rate multifamily buildings, as long as 30% of the units are affordable. Our definition of affordable being 80% of the average market rate. So 30% at 80% of the average market rate, we would consider affordable, and it is eligible for this program. Some more fine print though. Being in the Enbridge gas service area, being in the early planning stage is one that we have to stress, because if the program is, if you're building it currently, or if you're sort of finalize the design and ready to submit to permit, it's a bit too late. We do need to demonstrate influence with this program and show that we have improved the performance of the building. And so we will aim for 20% above the Ontario Building Code. If the building is really efficient, or if we're in an area that has higher standards, we will set a stretch target. And we do not require natural gas for this program. If you'd like a fully electric building, if you'd like to explore the opportunities for a fully electric building, this program is certainly the place to do that. So how the program works, there's essentially 3 steps. Step 0 being an application, which I would I would complete with you. And first and foremost, we have a visioning session. And this is quite informal, but it's about 45 minutes to an hour. And it can be 1 to 2 hours if it's a really complex project. But our team will meet with the project team. So we will bring our project partner, Sustainable Buildings Canada, and we will find out what it is your project needs and what it is you'd like to best service this project. Every affordable housing project is different. So if you particularly want to discuss, say, accessibility or the indoor building environment, we will talk about mechanical, electrical engineering, as well as we can explore things like solar. If you're curious to know about the various options to improve the energy efficiency, this is the place for you to tell us what experts and what you would like to discuss. We will also go over some of the plans, and we'll go through the site plans and floor plans at this point so that we can be fully prepared for the workshop. The workshop will have live energy modeling. We will prep that between the visioning session and the workshop. So there's about a month between the two. And we will use this all-day session to talk about the best options for the project. Not a one-size-fits-all approach. We'll show a couple of examples later to show how diverse these projects can be and what all the various options they can consider. And by the end of the day, we will have the options available. Finally, there's the incentives. It's up to $120,000 in incentives. This scales to the number of affordable units in the project. So it's $1,000 per unit. So 10 units would be 10,000, 120 is 120,000. And we pay this 50% at permit stage. So half is up front. You'd let us know when you've applied for permit, and we will run a model on the permitting just to ensure that you are on the pathway to savings. And then after the building is complete, we pay out the final 50%. And that is the program, briefly. We can certainly have questions later, but to get sort of a general overview, that is Savings by Design Affordable Housing. Talk about a couple of the success stories. Here's one from Niagara Regional Housing, and I really like to point this one out because the key enhancements are not us like ripping up the plans and starting over. It's working within the existing design as much as possible to find the least invasive changes and efficiencies we possibly can. So just making the systems more efficient and using a hot water energy recovery system and replacing the windows with higher performance windows is enough to push us over the 20% energy savings, again, without making colossal changes to the building design, and also reducing the natural gas consumption and greenhouse gas emissions of the building, which are also excellent as well. The Ottawa Youth Services Bureau, this one, again, the changes, you can do things like wall framing and insulation if we are early in the project and willing to consider that. That can go a long way in improving the efficiency. It's not just the mechanical, it's how the building fits together and what you insulate it with can go a long way to reducing your energy consumption. With even a simple change like just improving the windows enough with these measures to reduce energy savings by almost 25%. And then finally, this is the Regional Municipality of York. We teamed up with them for a large project that was 162 units. And the one thing I really like to point out here is the note of high efficiency lighting and sensors, not just an excellent energy efficiency option, but a wonderful option for accessibility as well. If the lighting is triggered by sensors in certain areas, that means that for anyone who has issues finding light switches or reaching them, that the lights will simply come on with sensors and that there's less struggling in the dark. So that is, I think, the great sort of secret weapon of this program is that you cannot just create energy efficiencies, but if we work with accessibility and indoor environment coordinators and experts, we can create a more accessible, more universally, a building that is universally designed and just generally better for the end users who need it. So that also culminated in, and I know this is a large project, so the funding savings will vary, but 51,000 in energy cost savings, which is excellent for affordable housing and means of keeping the building affordable and not having additional costs for the tenants. So that is Savings by Design. And I'll pass things over to Michael to discuss our retrofit program.
Thanks, Alex. Good afternoon, everyone. So first, I would like to start off by calling out that any applications or projects that are submitted for the Muskoka region on the retrofit side will actually go through my colleague, Dana McCormick. She couldn't present today, so I am here presenting on her behalf, and you'll see her contact details pop up a couple times throughout the presentation. Next slide, please, Alex. There we go. So so our target market for this is kind of like what Alex already alluded to. Any social housing providers, registered nonprofits, co-ops, shelters, and supportive housing, and the private market rate buildings. And the same rules apply for the private market rate buildings. To qualify, we do review the rent roll, and it would have to be 30% of units rented at less than 80% of the median market rate for the area. So for all intents and purposes, same qualification as the Savings by Design program. Additionally, it must be a Part 3 building, so that's 4 stories or greater, or have a building footprint of 600 square meters or more. So I have seen plenty of 2-story and 3-story walk-ups that qualify based on the 600 square meter at grade. So not to worry if your building is under 4 stories. Next slide, please. So the first offering for the retrofit program is our energy audits. So this, the budget for this is based on a first come, first served basis. So if you do have something, I would encourage you to reach out to Dana as soon as possible. And as it says here, pre-approval is required. So the funding will cover the full cost of the audit up to $8,000. And as it says in the slide, each housing provider has a limited total budget of $40,000 per year. Like I said, it's first come, first serve, so reach out as soon as possible. There is an additional screening requirement, however, for the energy audits. Each individual building must consume at least 50,000 cubic meters of natural gas. So these are great for doing audits on, you can do a full building condition assessment audit. It must be in accordance with ASHRAE level 2 audits. So it'll have to outline opportunities, outline a volume of gas that can be saved, and potential cost for the project. Next slide, please, Alex. So on to our custom incentive program. So the custom incentive is kind of the heart of the retrofit program. It provides incentives for kind of more in-depth projects because we do have another funding stream that you'll see in a couple slides that are much easier incentives to get. But things like you see on the slide here, boiler upgrades, heat recovery or energy recovery, ventilators, those systems that may be integrated with your makeup air, ventilation scheduling, everything like that would go through a custom incentive application. Now, the incentive structure for this is $1 per cubic meter of natural gas saved in the first year. It comes as a one-time payment after commissioning of the project. And that's important to know because it's a little different than what Alex presented, where on the savings by design, you get half before and half after. This all comes afterwards. The maximum incentive allowable per project is $200,000, up to 50% of the energy efficiency upgrade costs. And what that means is we look at the exact measures that are providing the savings on the project, and those are the costs we consider. So an example is a makeup air. If you have a base efficiency makeup air, so non-condensing makeup air, heated, that's running 24/7, and it's at end of life and you're ready to swap it out, but you don't want to go to a condensing makeup air unit because you don't want to, for the heat trace condensate lines, it's a bit of a headache and they're quite expensive. So you swap it out with a like for like system, another base efficiency, but you throw on a variable frequency drive so you can schedule it. And maybe you're going to turn back the fresh air, the amount of fresh air delivered between midnight and 5 a.m. when everybody's sleeping. That VFD is really what's providing the savings. So we would take into account any costs for the actual drive, any additional wiring requirements, and any programming requirements. And those are the costs we look at. So if that VFD is going to save you 10,000 cubic meters of gas per year, the maximum you could get up to is $5,000. So I just want to be clear and call it out. But if there are any questions you have, feel free to reach out to myself or Dana, and we'll be able to answer any of these questions. Next slide, please, Alex. Currently, so sticking with the custom program, there is a limited time bonus offer running. The main difference is we allow now up to 75% of cost recovery, and for anything other than high efficient boilers, so anything condensing or any other custom projects, that VFD example I just gave, you get an additional 40% bonus incentive. So you get $1.40 per cubic meter annual saved, whereas a high efficiency you get $1.30. Now, to be eligible for this and to qualify for it, you need to meet two deadlines. The first one is August 31st. So we need to see a commitment to complete a project by August 31st. And what we mean by that is an issue of a purchase order or some sort of signed agreement with an HVAC contractor or service provider to do the work. The second part of the deadline is commissioning by October 31st. So we want to see the equipment operating as intended by October 31st. So if there's anything you're hoping on doing, reach out to us, let us know what's happening, and try and hit these deadlines to increase your incentive. The limited time offer does hold the same maximum incentive of $200,000 per project. Next slide, please, Alex. One thing I would like to bring to everyone's attention in regards to boilers specifically are the changes coming to the Ontario Building Code in January of 2025. It's called Amendment 15, and it's affecting the energy efficiency regulations. So the way our incentives are calculated are based off what is available on the market, what you could have bought and what you did buy. And we do the calculations to determine the difference in energy consumption. And that savings is what the incentive is based on. So as of January 2025, the minimum available efficiency to retrofit your boiler or install a brand new boiler will be 90%. So it just means that that differential, that savings is now less. So our incentives will reflect that. They will be lower. So the purpose of this slide is to firstly inform you that this is coming, and to say if you have any boiler replacement or boiler retrofit projects planned for 2025 or before or later than that, if you can pull that into this year or 2024, try your best to do so. We will work with you. We can tell you what an idea of an incentive will be, so you can use that in your budgeting process. Next slide, please, Alex. The next part of the retrofit program is the prescriptive incentives. So these are a lot easier to get. It's a little less involved. We don't require as many technical details, and it's just everything you see here. So standalone or in-suite heat recovery or energy recovery ventilators, the condensing makeup air units, the water heaters, all qualify for the prescriptive applications. There will be on our website, we can send a link out to the website that has a few more details around this. So you can very easily see, based on the CFM and the efficiency of the unit, what you'll get. And that there's a few more details on the next slide as well. So you'll see here for the ERVs, for instance, if you're installing an ERV at 1,000 CFM, we have to then look up on the chart that, like I said, available on the website, what the efficiency is, and then it will tell you how much you're going to get per CFM. So it's very easy for you to go through and budget, say, okay, I know I'll get this from Enbridge, and this is how much it's going to cost me. So you can easily go through like that. But as well, you can call myself or Dana, and we can definitely verify for you if you're having trouble doing that. Next slide, please. So by far the best part of the retrofit program is the direct install. So as it says here, there's no capital expenditure required. We have third parties that we've partnered with to deliver these programs for us and provide the labor and materials for installation. They directly invoice Enbridge, and Enbridge pays their invoice. It costs you, the customer, nothing. The only thing it costs you is your time to allow the installers into the suites to do the work. So the first one I'll start off is a heat reflector panel. It is a little panel that goes in behind a hydronic radiator. So the building must be heated by a hydronic boiler. And there are a few other qualification measures just to keep the slide clean. I didn't put everything on here. But the main one is that it must be heated by a hydronic boiler. For customers that install these, we see around 7% savings. So quite lucrative for a free measure. I mean, you can't go wrong. So I highly encourage everyone to take advantage of this. Reach out, ask for eligibility. We can put you in touch with the installer, Novatherm. They come to site, they look at the building, they provide a quote to Enbridge, and then they schedule with you to go in and actually do the work. Second is the low flow shower heads. We've partnered with EcoFit and Clear Result on this, and there's options. EcoFit can come out and measure the flow rate of your current shower heads. If it's at 2.5 US gallons per minute or greater, you qualify for both. So it's kind of all or nothing on the shower heads. They measure, I think it's about 10 to 15% of the units in the building. And if those 10 to 15% qualify, then the whole building qualifies. They can then come back and install them, or they can even kind of leave you a skid bulk delivery of the shower heads and aerators to install on your own. But again, costs you nothing. Everything is paid for. The only thing is your time to go around with the installer. Next slide, please, Alex. So this is the other new construction program Alex referenced. There are a couple big differences though. The main one is this is meant to support customers seeking rapid housing, the RHI initiative funding through CMHC. It's meant to move a little quicker. It's a brand new offer for the program for 2023. The other main difference and big difference is that in this program, the building is required to remain connected to the gas system. In the Savings by Design program, it's not. However, on this one, it is. So the way this works is you would reach out and say, hey, Michael, we're looking at building a new building. 4 stories. It does still have to be a Part 3 building. And these are our needs. So we would meet with an energy modeler and your architect, and we would model a baseline OBC building that fits your needs. Enbridge will cover the costs of that energy modeling, full cost up to $8,000. Then we would meet again and say, okay, how can we improve the energy efficiency of this? Heat pumps, everything's on the table, so long as there is still some gas equipment in the building. But fuel switching is allowed as long as it's not 100%. Then a second energy model is done. And again, Enbridge will pay for that, full cost up to $8,000. And then after implementation and there is occupancy achieved in the building, you'll receive an incentive check for 20 cents of the gas savings based on the reduction from the OBC model. Next slide, please, Alex. And this is just to wrap up and ensure that the process is very clear. So the first part is the complimentary consultation. So we will come to site, we will go through your buildings, look at boilers, makeup airs, anything you have, and give you an idea of, if you installed condensing boilers at 98% efficiency, this is the type of incentive you could expect to receive back. But it is very important that we are ahead of the projects. If you were to come to me or Dana or Alex and say, hey, we installed this or we completed this project last month, unfortunately, we would have to turn you away. But if you were to come and say, hey, 2-3 months from now, I'm considering replacing a boiler or I'm considering replacing a makeup air unit, let's work together and determine an incentive. That's kind of the ideal situation. That's what we would love to happen. So we work together, we put through the incentive application, we do as much as we can on our part. There are times we may reach out to the service provider doing the work, and we do compensate them very nominally for that. They get about $100 per unit installed. So if they replace 2 boilers for you, they get $200. And that's just meant to compensate them for their time to answer our questions. We might ask for some site photos to say, yeah, it's been installed. And then there is a little application that comes through an Adobe sign link for you to sign off to confirm we've understood the details correctly. And it says where we send the check. And then after it gets approved, 4 to 6 weeks later, you should see a check come across your desk. So I think that's all I have, Alex. Yeah, and now I guess open it up for questions.
Thanks very much, Michael, and thank you, Alex, as well. It's probably a reflection of the detail of your presentation that the majority of questions that we have coming in through the chat are in relation to whether or not you'd be willing to share your slides with participants in today's forum. And you've taken my other question away from me too, because people were asking about how they could contact you directly. And I note that you have your email address and your phone number on that last slide there. Would you mind if I shared those details through the chat function too, so people have access to them after you've delivered or finished your presentation today?
Please do. And we provided a PDF of this presentation earlier this week. So yeah, feel free to send that out to the participants, and you can reach us directly through the information you see here. Thanks very much, Alex. That's very much appreciated. And we certainly appreciate your contribution to today's forum. That's the extent of our questions today. So we can let you go. Thank you again, Alex and Michael. Thank you. So you will have noted from the agenda that we do have a break planned before our next presentation, which is our affordable housing manager here at the District of Muskoka. So it's currently 2:06. I wondered if we could reconvene at 2:17 or 2:16 actually, 2:16, so that'll be a 10 minutes break. So feel free to go and get a coffee, and we'll be back here at 2:16. Thanks very much.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had an opportunity to have a coffee and perhaps stretch your legs. We've got some quite heavy rain. You might be able to hear through the window right here in Bracebridge at the moment. So just a reminder, if we should lose power and therefore lose our connection to Zoom, please bear with us and then go back to the original address that you got in your invitation, and we'll have the Zoom up and running as soon as we possibly can. So now it's my great pleasure to welcome Anna Weiser-Shea to the forum today. She's the District of Muskoka Affordable Housing Manager. Anna, welcome to the forum.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. I would like to say thank you for joining us, and I will go over our presentation. So the district offers a variety of funding programs that encourages the development of affordable housing across Muskoka. There are programs for tenants, private homeowners, landlords, developers, and nonprofit organizations. Hopefully you will hear today about a program that may assist you, your organization, or someone you know with a future project. Next slide, please. Thank you. I will start with the programs that we offer to groups for developers, builders, and landlords. I would like to note that these programs are separate from that for homeowners and nonprofit organizations, as the resources of the funding have different parameters. We will discuss those in future slides. So the funding for affordable rental units, one of the main locally funded programs at the district, and it's called the Muskoka Affordable Housing Initiatives Program, also known as MAHIP. This program provides funding to build affordable rental units. These units may be new construction, renovations, such as a single family home being turned into 2 units, or a conversion, which is a commercial site that is being converted into residential units. The developer or builder will be able to choose the funding that is best suited for their project. So every level of funding comes with an affordability period. And what that means is that they will have to charge the affordable rents for that period of time. The Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation annual average market rents was used to gauge the rents that needed to be charged. Due to the challenging times in Muskoka in the rental markets, staff conducted a survey and authored a business case in support of alternate average market rents, also known as AAMRs. Council approved a report, and effective January 1st, 2023, the district AAMRs have been established. These higher rents are better to reflect the current rental market. The Ontario rent increase legislation allow the annual rent increases. Next slide, please. Can we try the next one, please? No. Thank you. The funding is provided to the proponent in 3 stages. One is at occupancy, second is at the 50% structural completion, and then the final payment is released upon final occupancy. The proponent enters into a funding agreement, the proponent enters into a funding agreement which is registered on title. MAHIP funding is released annually in early every year. In 2023, a scoring matrix was introduced to evaluate the unprecedented number of applications received. On average, we would receive 2 to 3 applications. We received over 6 applications in 2023 with potentially 47 new units. This funding does not apply to secondary suites. This will be also discussed later in the presentation. The rent supplements for landlords. This is also a local funded program. Landlords can apply for one or more units. They can choose their tenants. They can refer their tenants and for income testing and eligibility. The rent supplement portion of the rent paid monthly is paid monthly and directly to the landlord. Landlords must enter into an agreement for a 5-year term, which is also reviewed annually. Also, the Ontario rent increase legislation is followed for annual rent increases. Rents must be at or below the AAMR, also seen on the previous slide. Landlords, please also remember that this information is confidential. The names and locations are never disclosed. Thank you. Those were our key programs for for-profit developers and landlords. The next section will focus on tenants and homeowners. The rent supplements for tenants. The same scenarios apply as we did with the landlords. The only difference is that the tenant can apply directly. The rent supplement program will assist individuals and families make their rents more affordable. So the landlord will also in the same, same as the landlord rent supplement program. In this case, the tenant submits the application for eligibility. The supplement is available to persons who are currently renting or have a unit they are moving into. Landlord must sign a rent supplement agreement for a 5-year term with annual renewals. The rent supplement portion of the rent is paid monthly directly to the landlords. Units must be self-contained, which means separate entrance, full kitchen, and bathroom facilities. Applications for this program are first come, first served. And please remember again, the information is kept confidential. Next slide, please. This slide shows the alternate average market rents along with the household income limits used in approving applications. The supplements are non-transferable from unit to unit and do not stay with the tenant. Next slide, please. The Canada-Ontario Housing Benefit, also known as a portable housing benefit. This is a monthly subsidy that it is administered by the province to assist low-income households with their housing costs. The major differences are this supplement stays with the tenant, therefore it is transferable from unit to unit anywhere in Ontario. Funds are paid to the applicant and the landlord does not need to sign an agreement. Persons interested in this program provide us with their name and contact information. District staff will provide this information to the ministry and the ministry will contact the applicant with an application. If there is a need, the applicant can contact us and we will assist with filling out the application or and will provide any other assistance. Once the application has successfully been completed and submitted to the ministry, it is assessed for eligibility. It is important to know to be eligible, the applicant must have their taxes up to date. And once approved, the COB or PHB have their name removed from the RGI waitlist if they are on an RGI waitlist. Next slide, please. The next program we have available is for Ontario home renovations and repairs. This is a provincial Ontario Renovates program that provides assistance to low and modest income households. Applications are first come, first served basis. Applications are reviewed for eligibility depending on income, assets, property value, and the scope of work. Homes may be single, semi-detached, mobile, and they must be at least 5 years old. Current funding is up to a maximum of $15,000. Some examples of projects are furnace replacement with a high efficiency unit, window and door replacement, roof replacements, electrical, septic, and fire safety, just to name a few. Proponents enter a 10-year forgivable loan agreement with the district that is registered on title. We also have available accessibility grants that help reduce the physical barriers in a home, fostering independent living. These grants are up to $5,000 and are non-repayable. All they need to start the qualification process is a letter from a healthcare professional. Please note that their proponents are eligible for both of those funds. Thank you. The Down Payment Assistance Program is a locally funded program and is made available annually. The assistance is 10% of the purchase price to a maximum of $43,500. It is, again, on a first come, first served basis. And the general program requirements are that the applicant must be 18 years of age or older, Canadian citizen, landed immigrant, or have refugee status. Applicants will receive a conditional approval letter upon submitting a successful application. Applicants will enter into a 20-year loan agreement with the district, which will be registered on title. No repayments are made to the district during the 20-year period. The only time a repayment will be calculated is in the case that the home is sold prior to the expiry of the commitment. Thank you. Secondary suites. So the district administers the federal provincial funding for property owned to build secondary suites. The program is designed to increase the supply of affordable rental housing for low-income households in Muskoka. The secondary suite can be a unit either above or below ground, located in a separate building, referred to as either a garden or carriage suite. Please check with your area municipality, town or township to determine what type of suite you are permitted on your property. Next, please. Muskoka property owners can receive up to $25,000 in the form of a 15-year interest-free forgivable loan. No payments are required and no interest is charged as long as the agreement is adhered to. Tenants must meet income limit testing, and the rent charge must be at or below the CMHC average market rent for a minimum of 15 years. The Ontario rent increase legislation is followed for annual rent increases. The funding is based on the cost of approved work plus the HST. Your local town or township can provide more information on zoning, building permit process, and provide you and advise based on your specific property and project. Be sure to check with them if you are thinking of constructing a secondary suite. Funding, again, is on a first come, first served basis. Next, please. We have federal provincial programs for nonprofits that are administered by the district. Next, please. The Ontario Housing Priorities Initiatives, OFI, is similar to the funding for developers and builders. This funding is used to construct affordable units. However, funding is only available to nonprofits, municipalities, cooperatives, or private sector organization working in partnership with one of the above listed organizations. Last year's funding was awarded to a nonprofit to renovate residential property into 6 new affordable rental units. Eligible projects are new construction, acquisition, and where required, rehabilitation of existing residential building to maintain or increase the affordable rental housing stock. Conversion of non-residential buildings or units to purpose-built rental buildings and units. Units must be of moderate size and amenities relative to other housing in the community and self-contained. Rents are at below 80% CMHC AMR for the community, and the affordable period is 20 years. I'd like to take a few moments to share some resources that may be helpful for you or your tenants. So as Mayor Kelly had mentioned, the Muskoka Housing Task Force 2.0 is reconvening this year to continue the great work done by the inaugural members. They will be taking action to move a variety of affordable housing projects into the next phase. You can keep up to date on their activities by subscribing to updates on the Engage page. There will be many exciting opportunities for passionate community members and advocates to engage in different capacities. The District of Muskoka offers Housing Support Fund, which can provide one-time financial support for eligible tenants, including to any number of the items listed on the slide. And if there's other questions, please contact our housing support at the email below or the extension listed. We also wanted to mention a few other resources. The HSC tenant insurance provides affordable tenant insurance for content and liability. Also, it provides coverage for additional living expenses such as hotel bills, meals, and moving costs. The contact information is on the slide. The Ontario Electricity Support Program provides monthly electricity bill credits for low-income households. Credit amounts vary by household, income, and number of people living in the home. If someone lives in a home heated with electricity, relies on certain medical devices that require a lot of power, or is part of an Indigenous community, they may qualify for a higher level of assistance. The contact information for OESP to make an application is on this slide. Tenants can also contact Housing Support Fund email or extension if needing assistance or required in filling out the OESP application. Other resources are the Rogers offers a program called Connected for Success, which provides internet packages for low-income households. For tenants of nonprofit housing providers, cooperatives, RGI properties, the organization, the housing provider, has to sign up. For OW clients, recipients of the Guaranteed Income Supplement Resettlement Assistance Program, they can apply themselves. The District of Muskoka offers income tax clinics as well. Community Volunteers Income Tax Program is a collaboration between community organizations and the Canada Revenue Agency. Community organizations host free clinics where volunteers complete tax preparation services for eligible individuals, families, seniors, and persons with disabilities with moderate income. Appointments typically start in March of each year. Information can be found on our district website. Many programs require proof of income in the form of a notice of assessment, so it's important for people to have their taxes done so they can access programs they need. Success story. We, over the years, through the Muskoka Affordable Housing Initiatives Program, have funded over $3 million and created 82 units. In 2023, we are planning on spending over $2 million and about 28 units. That completes my presentation, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much, Anna. So I have a couple of questions that have come in through the chat. Some of them I can address without turning it back to Anna. So just a reminder first that Anna's presentation, in addition to the recording of today's session, will be available on our website. And if you registered for this event, which all of you have here today, you will receive an email automatically prompting you to our website where you can find the presentation plus the recording of today's session. I just have one question, Anna, in relation to Ontario Renovates. You said in your presentation that the district potentially could provide up to $15,000 in support to for renovations or for repairs to a house based on income limits. If my repairs are in excess of 15,000, so for example, the example I've got here in the chat is if a roof costs say $20,000, will the district pay up to 15 and then the homeowner would then be responsible for the other 5?
Yes,
that
that is correct.
Okay. So without further ado, I don't have any more questions for Anna in the chat, but just again, a reminder that the presentation and the session will be available after the session. Actually, I've just got another question coming in through the chat. So if you wouldn't mind just hanging on for one more moment, Anna, and I'll see
No
whether
problem.
you can. The question is not relevant to your presentation, and I'll be able to answer that through the chat. So thank you very much, Anna. And thank you for your contribution today to the forum.
Thank you.
So I'm going to move on to our next presenter, and I'd like to welcome the District of Muskoka's Manager of Geomatics, Graham Good. Graham, welcome to the forum.
Thank you very much. My name is Graham Good. I'm the Manager of Geomatics here at the District of Muskoka, and we provide a lot of free available public mapping. I've been asked today to demonstrate the Muskoka GeoHub and show you some of the mapping that we have available for you to use. Not all of it is relevant to the topic at hand, but I would say that we've done our best at making maps interesting, unique, and relevant to the homeowner or people who may want to purchase a new home or a home within Muskoka. So that's my plan. I will share my screen here in a second to show it to you. Maybe what I will do to ask people to do for me would be to not to try to follow along on what I'm doing. If we have 100 people or 50 people here trying to do exactly the same thing, it'll certainly slow me down. So I'll show you what I'm going to show you. You could play with it later. If there are any questions, please add them to the chat. If there are any comments, good or bad, if you like something, let us know. If we need to do something better, let us know. We'd be happy to get your feedback and try to do our best to improve what we've already got here. So I will stop that and share my screen, and you should be able to see our what I'm calling the landing page of the Muskoka GeoHub. And on this site, we have 24 maps currently available, and we're adding more every day. And I will spend some time at talking about some of them. I'm going to start with the topo map, the topographic map. This is a popular one, as it has most of the GIS layers that most people are interested in. And I'm going to show you two things. I'm going to show you the data that we have available for the public, and I'm going to show you some of the tools and how to navigate around the site at the same time. So here's a trick. You could roll your mouse wheel back, and you could zoom out. You could roll your mouse wheel forward, and you could zoom in. And note this is the legend. It's dynamic. Every time you zoom in, more layers are showing up. And if you know where you want to zoom, you could just hold your mouse wheel or your cursor where you want to go, and it'll magically zoom in to show all the data that we have, including roads, properties, buildings, and with the last zoom, we have 911 civic address labels. And I could click and hold my mouse to center the map where I would like it. Okay, so there's a couple tricks. Once you are there where you want to be, we have other information available. Up here, let me go here. We have a layer list. This makes the mapping more dynamic, and you could turn on and off layers that you want to see. So I could do that with a quick click. And you could even expand it with this little expanding button and turn off certain layers that you want to see or not. And a quick note on the settlement area, that is typically where water and sewer services are provided within that layer. But we're not showing our water and sewer services on these maps. If that is a question, you need to contact the Public Works Department to get more details on the servicing that are available. The other layer that we have available in this base map gallery are some air photos. So with a single click, you could see exactly what we have in 2018. And you could even go back in time with a quick click to see what was available way back into the 80s and 70s or 69. And we could click the general base map to get to where we started. Other tools to show you or highlight for you, we can do some measurements with this. So you can certainly click and find the detailed distance if that's of interest. And we can add information with this drawing tool. You can draw a polygon and you can actually give it an area and a perimeter. I'm not sure if people would do this, but yeah, I think it's fun. So I'm going to do this, double click to finish, and it gives you some details. We also have literally thousands of points or not features to kind of add. And we could certainly pick some things like this, and it's a hot out. We could do that. We could even add text. We could change the color. We could change the size, and we could type and put that on. And all of this can be printed and saved. All you need to do is to go through here and print it. It'll print exactly what you've created as a PDF file that you could share with other people. Okay, I'll clear that and speed it up. Okay, searching. I'm going to clear this. Instead of just zooming in, we have lots of different ways to search and find the data on our maps. You could search it by a road, by the settlement area, by the lake, even an island. And I'm going to search for the civic address. And I'm going to type in where I'm located right now at 70 Pine Street, and boom, it finds it with a quick, fast relocation. But the most important part is clicking on these properties. You can click on the map and it will pop up a window with a lot of information available to you, as long as we're not all doing it at exactly the same time. There it is. So we provide you with the address, the roll number, the lot and con, the area, the frontage, the property code, all sorts of details are available in here. And whenever you see this blue underline more information, click it. You're going to get a lot more information. And what we've gotten here is a link to Google Street View, which we use a lot for our 911 civic addressing. We could zoom in to see the actual civic address on these houses and everything else around it. Okay, so that's interesting. The other tool that we have here is if you don't have an address, then maybe you have a lot and con. And we have a lot and con search option here. So I could search for any particular concession, lot and con, and apply it, and boom, it'll take you exactly to that particular property fairly efficiently. Okay, so you guys are asking us questions. We're going to answer them the best we can, but I have a question for you. Currently, all of the information in these property pop-up windows is MPAC data. And MPAC may be telling us to stop showing this data. And I'm really not sure how valuable or useful it is for you in your work and your business. And I guess what I would like to hear from you in either in a chat is this helpful? Do you use this? Is it important to do to look at this and find out exactly what this property is in terms of vacant or not vacant or whatever it is? So if you have some comments, please add it to the chat. If you have a lot of information and saying that this is extremely helpful or not, you could certainly send us an email. And to send us an email, you could go to the bottom page of our landing site and you can click on the GIS info at muskoka.on.ca. Okay, so there's my end of my my ask. Let me move on to some other maps to show you. Another map that might be of relevance is this one. It's called the Development Applications Map. And we provide the District of Muskoka subdivision and condominium applications that are currently in process. If you click on one, it will give you not only the property information on every property, gives you the name, what it is, the subdivision, what the status is of draft approved, and the total number of units for every development. And it gives you that list in the legend as well. And here's a cool trick. You can turn on the air photos, and you could turn on or click the development button and do a cool thing of looking through the transparency to see what's below these potential developments according to the 2018 air photos, which we hope to get brand new ones next year, as they were just captured every 5 years and just captured now. The planning department tells me they have about 90 of these applications currently available. And on a recent count, about 7,500 new units are being proposed in these new subdivision and condominium plans. Okay. Another trick, I've been zooming in and searching and finding. If you are out in the field, if you've got a laptop, I can't do it on my desktop, but here's a cool button called My Location. It will take you exactly to where you're located. I've even gotten lost on a trail, and it was helpful to find out exactly where I was standing. So that's something to try, not right now because you're not in it, but at a later date, you could certainly try the My Location button. Okay, moving on. Other helpful data I think would be relevant is zoning. The District of Muskoka maintains and publishes 4 out of the 5 area municipalities zoning files. And this one I wanted to show you in particular is the Township of Muskoka Lakes' zoning files. And I am going to search and find a roll number to zoom in and show you what I'm talking about with this. So the zoning map is here. It tells you the general categories. If I click on one, it'll give us this popular information from MPAC. But if I click this next feature, it will take me to the zoning layer. And it tells me it's a C5 community commercial layer. But it has this blue underlined more information, which I'm going to click. I like more information. And this is taking you to the Township of Muskoka Lakes zoning bylaw and will identify exactly what is permitted on this particular zone, what type of development is permitted on this particular zone and what isn't. So the C5 has everything but, I guess, a hotel. It also provides you with the minimum lot frontage and setbacks and coverage, which again are very helpful for any planning, development, or planning applications. You could see similar information, maybe not as specific with the, oh, let me click this again. I've got another layer to show you. The Township of Muskoka Lakes also has an exemption bylaw link, which tells you exactly what was approved back in 2014 for this particular property that has changes to the standard approved planning rules. Okay, I'm going through these quickly, so please ask some questions and we could follow up after the fact. Here's another map that might be relevant to what we're looking for. And it's kind of cool. This is a 3D map. We have a 3D building layer and a 3D air photo layer. And if I just kind of pan over and I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to look at a certain area here. And there's a little button here. I'm going to click this toggle and pan and rotate. I'm going to click pan and rotate. Nobody's getting sick doing this. But what we've got here is a big vacant property. And now we know why. This is a significantly sloped area, which is very difficult to build on. The properties are on the lower level, and these large areas are obviously vacant for a reason. So that might be something fun to do, and identify why there might be a reason why that is currently vacant. Okay, another one that is similar but different. This is again a very unique map in Muskoka. We have linked to a third party that has provided shoreline videos. And I'm just going to click on one of these. You can search and find the lake you're interested in. I'm going to click on the video link. It's taking me to a third-party website. I'm just going to click play, and it's showing me the shoreline of that particular lake broken up in many different sections. I could certainly move forward and see what type of elevation or what type of areas or environment are associated with each one of these shorelines, which is kind of fun, but also might be relevant to what people are interested in terms of purchasing. Okay, moving on quickly. Here's one that is a lot more relevant maybe than that last one. And this is our new floodline mapping layer or map. And what we've created here is a map that shows the expected flooded lands as determined by our engineering consultant. And the property owner can identify where their property may become flooded and the actual elevation of their property, as well as a real-time level of the water, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to zoom out and quickly just to take a look at the entire district. We've got a whole bunch of new data just recently added, 16 new lakes, including Lake of Bays and Go Home Lake, 9 new river sections, including the South Branch of the Muskoka River and filling in the North Branch, the Moon and the Musquash River. So we've got lots of information that is now available for people to see for floodline mapping. And I'm going to zoom in here to an example in Lake Vernon. And I'm going to pan over and zoom in. So let's say I'm interested in this particular area. I'm going to click on the map. Again, I'm going to get some information. This is telling me the basic property fabric. I'm going to click this next feature. And this is telling me the static lake level of where the engineers believe flooding may occur on this lake. This 286.68 meters above sea level is different for every lake. So you'll have to check this out on all of them. But the point I clicked has this detailed LiDAR data. And if I do the next feature, it tells me that this point has an elevation of 284 meters of elevation above sea level, which tells me that this area is potentially 2.5 meters underwater, along with all of those properties and houses. Okay. This pop-up window also provides us with a PDF map set. It's hard to see, but it says view. So it's like that blue underlined more information. And this gives you the engineers mapping as they created it back when they started. And you could certainly see where the floodline mapping is being proposed for each one of these maps. Okay. So here's another thing that we've done that makes this map very unique. We have an opportunity to view the actual live lake and or river water gauges. And if I zoom into this, and I click on this point, which you can see in the legend, it is going to give me the actual current elevation of the water in this lake. You could see that it was updated just a few hours ago, and it will become updated automatically. We're not doing this work. We're getting it directly from the source. So it tells us that the current water level is 225.44. So if I was a property owner and I was concerned if my property might be flooded, I could click on this and it would tell me with the next feature what the elevation of the ground is through this LiDAR, which is 225.42. So that particular point is not underwater currently or today, but we could come back if flooding occurs in the spring. People can see the active live water level, and they could compare it to where their property is located. Here's another very unique thing. We've got this water station webpage, which takes us here. This shows the live water level for this one station. And if I zoom out, you could see what it looks like over time. If I click this maximum button and apply that setting, you could see where this lake level was compared to the maximum that it's ever had. And this year we've gotten a little higher than we normally do. So there's that link is different for all 15 of the water station gauges that we have across Muskoka. And that graph is updated every 5 minutes. Okay. So a couple other things on this map that makes it really unique. I'm going to zoom over here and you'll see this historically flooded roadways. If I click on one of these, you'll be able to see that this particular section of road was flooded, and we were aware of it back in 2019. Okay. So that might be of an interest that certain roads are being flooded. So here's another tool that we've just added to this map. It's called the elevation profile. What I could do with this is wait patiently for it to show up and then show you. Here it is. Okay, so I am going to draw a line from here to here and double click. And what this has done is created a profile where I could actually see the elevation change going down to the river, back up, back down, and back up to the top. This is really fun. I got to tell you, I don't spend all my day doing this, but pretty much most of my day is spent looking at the elevation. One of the reasons why I think this is relevant is, again, similar to that 3D map, there's reasons why certain properties are not developed, and maybe it's the steep slopes associated to this particular property. And this gives you a pretty good picture of how the elevation is around anywhere in Muskoka, anywhere that we have LiDAR. Okay, cool stuff. The other point to mention at the top, we've got links, and here you could it'll take you to the district's floodline webpage for more information. And if you're interested in the engineer's technical reports, you could review those whenever you'd like. A couple more maps to show you. I'm running out of time here, but here's one that a lot of people in Muskoka is interested in. And this is our watershed and water quality map. Okay. That's an error. I'm going to try to do a search or query on a lake, and I'm going to look for Clear Lake, and we have two of them actually. So I'm going to go to this one, and what this gives us is the watershed boundary associated to this lake, and every lake has its own boundary. But if I click on this, it will give me the watershed name, and if I go to the next feature, this is giving me all the details about that lake. And if I click this very valuable more information link, this tells us everything we've had as water quality for the last 30 years, including the area, the depth, and the Secchi depth. This Secchi depth means how deep you could see down in the water. And this one has an unbelievably deep 6.6 meters of depth, which is why it's called Clear Lake, I guess. So that's of interest. And this other link here will take you to our District of Muskoka water web, which gives you, again, 30 years worth of water quality data that we have across the district. A couple more here, going quickly. Another valuable one, I think, is this transit map. What we've collected is all of the individual transit or bus routes and combined them all into one map. So now you could search on where you live or where you want to go. You can zoom in and click. So I could click here, and this would be our Corridor 11 map, and it gives you some information and a link to the website. We have the town of Bracebridge map, and if I click on this actual stop, it gives you the times of when things get picked up. It's a very helpful way of combining all of the information in one helpful site. I understand that this rural connection core, or this rural connection map here, this orange one, may be undergoing some changes. So you might want to come back to this site and look for updates, and certainly go to their website for more up-to-date information. Okay. Building permits. The Township of Muskoka Lakes has a brand new, I'm not going to call it a map. We call this a dashboard. because it's way more than a map. And what we could do here is we could filter it. I'm going to say between maybe say 2019 and 2023, and automatically it shows you just those building permits that are within that period. I can change it to show only certain types of permits, but it's still a map. You could zoom around and search and click on it, and it gives you the information associated to building permits from the township of Muskoka Lakes. And to anticipate your question, no, we do not have this for any other municipality. This is a one thing only just for the township of Muskoka Lakes, but very cool nonetheless. And the last map I'll show you is this brand new, again, Township of Muskoka Lakes planning application, planning activity app. And what we're showing you here are minor variances that are currently in progress, which means, I believe, I'm not a planner, but I believe that means people could comment on these particular ones. If you click to the next, it gives you the link of ones that are completed, and you click on it, it gives you not only the pop-up window on the parcel, but it gives you the minor variance, and you could actually view the document associated to that minor variance, all with a couple clicks, which is pretty fantastic source of information that, again, only the Township of Muskoka Lakes has been so bold to get this type of work done so far. So that is a very quick review of some of the 24 maps that we currently make available to you to use. I hope some of that was helpful to what you're interested in. Again, if you provided any questions or comments or suggestions, we'd be happy to get back to you whenever we can. So I will end it there. Wade, back over to you.
Thank you very much, Graham. Just in answer to your SNAP poll, I had 2 people responding in relation to the impact survey data that the question you asked about, and I got 2 big thumbs up in terms of the usage of that data and its relevance to their work. So I thought I'd pass that along to you.
Great, perfect.
So once again, Graham, thank you very much for contributing to today's housing forum. Lots of really useful information. We'll provide, I think Jackie already has provided a link to the Geo Hub and also to the contact details if people have further questions. So thanks very much, Graham.
Great, thank you.
So that now brings us to the end of our presentations, and therefore to the end of today's Housing Funding Forum, the second one. As you'll see on the screen, we will be posting this session to the website so that if you missed anything, or if you would like to review anything that was said today, you'll be able to do that. We're also going to be sending out a feedback survey to get an idea of whether or not this, or which sections of this were particularly successful or particularly relevant to you and your business. So watch out for that. We're hoping to do that early next week. And so we'd really appreciate your thoughts and suggestions for future sessions too. So if you have anything that we perhaps have missed in the previous 2 sessions that you'd like to find out more information about, we're certainly thinking about future funding forums. So please send any thoughts or suggestions into us via the email that we'll send you when we present today's presentation to you. So just finally, thank you to everyone who participated, particularly to our guest speakers, and finally to everyone who joined us today for our second Housing Funding Forum session. And we look forward to seeing you again sometime in the future. Thank you very much now. Bye.